Hey everybody, this is Dream, and today is going to be the breakdown of the 4-game slate on FanDuel. Before I get started this, can you guys please smash that like and subscribe button? It really does help the channel. I really do appreciate it. With that said, let's get into the injury report real quick. For the Pelicans, we have Ingram, Zion, and Herb Jones all out. That's going to help a lot of guys on the team, especially Murphy and Nance, who probably will both start. CJ McCollum and Valanciunas should also get an uptick. The only real risk with those guys is that it could be a blowout type of game. For the Clippers, Paul George is out, which gives some boost to Kawhi Leonard, but really depends on if he starts. And then if he does or doesn't start, it's going to depend a lot on how the other guys look in this game, especially like Kennard and Batum and others. And so we're going to have to take a look at how what the Clippers lineup ends up being before we can really make a good justification on for which players are the best. And then for the Thunder, Shea Alexander and Giddy are both out, which helps Trey Mann and Lou Dort. And then for the Mavs, Tim Hardaway Jr. is doubtful, and that gives a boost to Dinwiddie. So let's go ahead and get into the players here. Before I get started, though, I want to give a shout out to the Patreon members. Really do appreciate you guys. Make sure to check that out in the description below if you're real interested. It's really just for, to support the channel. I do post the write-ups, the information that I'm telling you when I'm doing the video here. I post the lineups, since I post that data, that information in Patreon. And we also have a Discord, and you can join the Discord for free right now, actually. And so if you want to check that out, we have NBA news and MLB news and everything else like that in here, and we have good little discussions. We have NBA discussion, we have lineup discussions, price picks information, Patreon chat, post your wins, community content, etc. Feel free to check that out if you want to. Anyhow, let's get into the players for FanDuel today. So overall at point guard, our top options here are going to be Trey Mann. Trey Mann looks pretty solid today for Oklahoma City. His price point is actually pretty good here on FanDuel, much better than on DraftKings. And with SGA out, he should get a nice little boost. He's going to be able to play 28 to 30 minutes in this one, and he should be able to get to 5x on this particular slate just because his price point is pretty fair. Then we're gonna look at Reggie Jackson. Now I don't love Reggie Jackson as a offensive player for fantasy, but with Paul George out, he should be shooting a little bit more, and he should get a few extra minutes as a result. And we still don't know what Kawhi Leonard's gonna do today, which will probably be somewhat limited. So he's gonna have some upside as a result, and he also tends to get some defensive stats, which we like. And so while his price point is not super ideal, he is an option to take a look at on this particular slate because of the matchup and because of the injury situation to that team. Then Chris Paul for Phoenix. His price point seems a little bit cheap today for the production and potential in this one. He should be, obviously he's going to need to play. Oops, why did I hit Christian Wood? Sorry about that. For Chris Paul, he's been playing pretty solid so far this season. And the first game was the only game he really kind of didn't play deep into the game. But I suspect he's going to play deep in this one, especially if the game stays close, which I expected to do. And so I look for him to be a good option on this particular slate. Spencer Dinwiddie, he's going to get a boost today, especially if Tim Hardaway is out, and he looks like a really solid option. Obviously, his price point is not as ideal here on FanDuel as I would like, but overall, with a little bit of upside that he's going to have, I think he's in a great spot. And then Luka Doncic, even though his price point is high, his production has been massive, and I look for him to do that again today. Even at a blowout, he should still be able to 5x on this slate. Norman Powell looks like a pretty solid option for the Clippers, assuming he starts. Now we're going to have to figure out between him and Kennard and a couple others what they're going to do starting-wise, and that information will come out later today. And once we get that information, that's going to give a good idea. But everybody's going to play a few more minutes as a result of PG-13 being out. It's just a matter of which guy you want to, which guys are going to start and stuff like that. So, Mikal Bridges looks like a pretty solid option today. He's been a little bit boomer bust to start the season, but his floor is okay. And he's going to have some upside in this matchup because he'll have his minutes pretty secured regardless of the outcome of the game. Devin Booker is a little bit riskier today, but overall I still think he's in a pretty good spot. He started the season off really solid, and I expect him to have a big game, especially with Klay Thompson still being limited. Then CJ McCollum, obviously, with the Pelicans. It looks like he's going to have the green light to score as many points as he can because there's not going to be too many other guys on the team. They're going to be trying to score, so I expect him to have a huge game here. and his price point is still pretty fair. So I do like him a lot. Then we're going to look at small forward. Covington's another guy we're going to take a look at from the Clippers that could get a boost today. Obviously, we hope him to play a little more minutes than 22 like he did against the last game when Kawhi was out, but we'll have to see how the matchups and stuff look at that point in time. Then Cameron Johnson for Phoenix. His price point seems pretty good for this matchup, and he seems like he's a little bit more healthy, and I hope he can get a few more minutes in this one than he has been getting. But I suspect that he can still 5x on this particular slate. And then Nicholas Batum, he's another guy for the Clippers that could benefit a lot as a result of the injury to Paul George. And if you look at Paul George is actually out sick, so not injury, but I just say that because of the injury report. Anyhow, he's likely going to play 25 minutes or so, regardless of whether he starts or not. But obviously, if he starts, that would be a much better outcome. Then we're going to look at power forward, and we got to look at Porzingis for the Washington Wizards. He's been solid so far this season. He's had one game that was a little bit off. He does get peripheral things like blocks and steals, which helps him a little bit as well. And he is able to get double-doubles at times, and this is a matchup where I think he has the opportunity to get a double-double, and that gives him some good upside here. Larry Nance also looks really solid for New Orleans. He should start with all the injuries, and he has some upside at this price point. That's also true for Trey Murphy. Then we look at the center position, Ayton, for Phoenix. He looks a little bit too low priced for his potential. Obviously, he sometimes has boomer bust games, and this isn't the most ideal game for him, but I still think he's in a pretty good spot. Now, Zubac is the quintessential boomer bust option on this particular slate. He goes up and down. He'll have games where he'll score 50 fantasy points, and he'll have games where he scored 10, like he did last game. But overall, I still think he's a good option on this overall slate, and so I look for him as a good option. Then Draymond Green. Now, if we're going to have to check to see if his minutes are going to be limited again. But if not, he definitely has a lot of upside in this game. And of course, he gets a lot of peripheral stats at times. If he doesn't get into foul trouble and stuff like that, obviously that would benefit himself a lot. But overall, we still have to check to see if he's going to play a full complement of minutes. And then Jonas Valanciunas, he's purely here because, well, the 3 of the 5 normal starters for the Pelicans are out today. And so him and CJ McCollum are going to have to take the reins of the offense. I look for him to score some points. In the last game, he did pretty good, except for the fact he didn't shoot the ball at all very well. I mean, he only hit a couple shots. I expect him to get a lot of shots in this one, and I suspect that he won't have as bad of a game as he did last time against Utah and this matchup against a team that, while they can be decently good at defense, he's going to have an ability to just run all over them. So I think at his price point, he's pretty good. With that said, thank you guys for liking, commenting, subscribing. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them below. Otherwise, have a nice day.